Welcome to Weed Growing V4. Farms, dealers, processing, private labs, automation, in-game config editor, and lots more. But before we get into all that, let's start at the beginning. Before we even think about purchasing a lab and automating our production, we need to start somewhere, and that's going to be right here at Smoke on the Water. This is our essentials shop for everything weed growing, where you have water, fertilizer, soils, plant pots, and more. Once you've got the supplies you need, the next thing, and most importantly, is going to be some seeds. So let's go get some. One of the ways we can obtain some seeds is through the classic seed farm locations. Many of you may be familiar with this. These are wild plants you can place throughout the map. Players will search and hope to find some seeds. You can obviously build these seed farms out anywhere you'd like across the map. You can change the model and prop used for the plants. You can place them anywhere you like, change their loot tables, chances, and more. But this is only one way to obtain some seeds. We've added a new one in V4 that I'm pretty excited about. Let's go check that one out. And here we are at our new seed dealer. This is a rotating NPC that which you can of course customize where and when he's available. He will move around the map and his stock resets on each rotation. You can of course change how long he's available, how long he's unavailable in between moves, and of course the stock limits. He sells seeds. You can level gate them per level, and you can also adjust the stock available to each player by their level. So let's check it out. This is his inventory. I'm a level 4 player, so I'm going to see different stock levels than a level 1 player would see. They wouldn't even see, these other seed options altogether. But highly customizable, really great way to fine-tune the control and flow of seeds into your economy if you wish. So at this point, we've got our seeds, we've got our supplies. Now let's grow some weed. I'm going to go and use my plant pot I got from Smoke on the Water, and you're going to quickly see this new grid system in V4 here. This is a lovely thing I just really enjoy. You can make those perfect, clean, even rows. But if you're crazy, you can still do the freeform method. That's fine. But I'm going to stick with the grid mode because I like how even and smooth we can make everything look. So there we go. I got a couple empty plant pots out there, and this is another big change. Now we need to select our soil. Soils can vary in their effects, and I'll show you that. But first, as we approach a plant, you're going to notice this beautiful DUI overlay. This is always going to be visible as you walk around plants, and it will give you a status update. Tell you everything you need to know about that plant. You'll see as this updates as we move along here. So let's select the soil. And you can see some of these have a growth boost, a yield boost. You can add more soils, remove these, adjust the growth and yield benefits, completely up to you. I'm going to do one with basic soil and one with the enhanced soil. And the next step in this process is going to be selecting our seed. I'm only level 4, so I'm only going to see up to 4 options. You can add, remove strains as you wish, but I'm just going to do some OG Kush right now. And there we go. You'll see now the DUI shows the status of the plant, its health, growth, water, fertilizer. Again, really nice for those large grow operations. You can just walk up and down real quick to identify what really needs attention. If one's in bad shape, like it's dying, there'll be a big dying warning there. But let's look at our full plant management menu now. You can see it's on stage 3 out of 8. It also displays any modifiers if it has any. So in this case, we use the enhanced soil. So it's going to show us a growth benefit of plus 10%. Here's an optional active bonus for plants that are maintained at 100% health. So if you keep your plant above, or well rather at 100% health during its entire growth cycle, you can get a bonus yield. This can be turned on or off, adjusted, higher, lower, whatever you wish. And then of course all your other stats. Now for fertilizer, if we go into the fertilizer menu, we have the same thing like we saw with soils, different fertilizer options to change how the plant will grow or its yield, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to fertilize it, and we'll see our DUI overlay updates nicely in real time. Now let's say I change my mind on the position of this plant. At any point you can just cancel, and you'll see I'll get my soil and my plant pot back. And in this case, it's just the plant pot. So that's the growing process in a nutshell. It's very intuitive, very fun. It has a much improved gameplay feel as a player. And these are a bunch of plants I planted earlier. Obviously, these are ready to harvest. So when a plant is done, again, stage 8 out of 8, plants mature, ready to harvest. It will still show you any modifiers if it had them, so you know. This one was at perfect health the whole time, and because it's a Cosmic Kush strain, which is the highest level strain, I have it set to give a even higher perfect health bonus. But this plant can now be harvested, and we can get some buds. And there we go. Looks like I actually just leveled up to level 5 and got 27 Cosmic Kush bud. One thing I didn't mention, these plants, as they're planted outside, you can adjust the effects that rain have on them. So as it rains, you can increase the water level, and you can adjust that per strain. Another highly requested feature is the ability to have different growth settings per strain. So one grow faster, one grow slower. All that's now possible, and much more. So we grew some weed and we got some buds. Now it's time to start packaging some. I grabbed a weed table and some buds, and I'm going to place that weed table right here. These are persistent tables. They will stay throughout restarts. You can place them anywhere, and obviously within limits that you've set in the config. But if I go in here, I can select to either roll or bag weed. I'm going to roll some OG Kush. I'll just select 5. You can see there's a max. This is the maximum you can do in one sitting, you know what I mean? So it avoids those long AFK sessions. I can't go over 15 in one sitting. Of course, that can be adjusted, as well as all the item quantities that are removed and added for each action, as well as the animation duration, so on and so forth. I'm also earning XP as I do this, so this helps me to unlock later strains and seeds from the dealer and the farms, and so on and so forth. So I rolled some joints, bag a couple, and I want to show you, before we move on to my last and most favorite part of this script, of course, our joints are usable as you would expect. You can customize the effects they have on the player, turn them on or off. Anything and everything is possible. We haven't even dived into the config yet, but we're going to get there after this last awesome, my personal favorite feature, the labs. So while we're high, let's go check that out. So I'm standing in front of a location that I know is a lab for sale. In V4, players can now purchase and own private labs. But there's more. Instead of just a lab where it's a space to grow, we have a lot more to do inside this lab. But even if without that, it's still a lab, and it's still a nice private space to grow, hopefully a little bit safer than out in the wild. So let's check it out. I know this place is for sale, so as you go up, you're going to see this purchase option. This purchase option will bring up a weed lab marketplace where you can see different labs for sale. Now I'm standing right here in front of this one. But if you don't like this map view, don't worry, you don't need to use it. There is also a list view. So if you don't want to expose the locations too much, you can also replace these images with placeholder images or whatever, but you got two options. You can use whichever one works best for your server. I'm going to buy this one right here, and now I have a privately owned lab. I can use this space for whatever I want. I got plenty of room to grow in here. There is the option to raid labs. Both players can raid and police can raid. We'll get more into that later, but that's just something to note. In our labs, this is just an empty space for us to grow, and we also have tables back here for processing. So just like the tables you saw earlier, we can roll and bag weed. But we also have this laptop back here, and this is our manage lab panel. This is the lab overview. It shows you everything going on inside your lab. You'll see there's been no plants harvested, and there's currently no plants at all. But let's just say I'm gonna plant a plant real quick, just to show what pops up on there. So I got a little plant pot, put some soil in there, and let me put a seed, and I'll do a quick water. So we got a little example plant. Obviously you can plant it anywhere. I'm just putting it in that room because it looks better. If I go into our managed lab, you'll now see I have one plant currently in this lab, and then we can check out the plants tab. This is a live view of all the plants inside your lab. You'll see it's OG Kush. I used basic soil and fertilizer, and you can see we didn't fertilize it, but we did water it, and this is every stat of every plant that grows in your lab will be found here. So that's really cool, but that's not the best part yet. Let me pick this up and just get it out of the way. I want to show you some more details inside this lab management. So in the top right, of course, we got the close button, but then we also got this lock. This is the door to your lab. The door is now unlocked and anybody can enter, and now it's locked and nobody can enter except for authorized users I add here. You can add friends, whatever, here, and you can control their permissions, what they have access to and what they don't. You can control every bit of their access. But going back, here is our stash button. This gives us access to our lab stash. You'll see it's quite small with a limited weight right now, but we can upgrade our stash by purchasing a storage upgrade. You can of course change how much each tier upgrades the stash and how much it costs. This one's 5,000, says I don't have enough money. That's because there's no money in our lab wallet, so I'm gonna add some and purchase an upgrade, and there we go. Our stash is now increased capacity. So that's a quick rundown, but my favorite feature yet of labs is the ability to automate. And what I mean by that is this workers tab. Here you can hire botanists and packagers. A botanist is somebody who will plant, maintain, and harvest a weed plant from start to finish. You'll see if I go to hire this botanist, there's a one-time hire fee and a daily wage. You can of course change how much it costs to hire and the daily wage, and you can even change how long every cycle is. I have it set to 48 minutes because that's the real life time of an average GTA day. So if I hire this guy, it's going to cost me $5,000 for a one-time hire fee, and then a daily $250 for every 48 minutes for him to continue working. So let's check that out. If I hire him, we will now see we have a botanist assigned randomly to one of these 10 zones. You can have up to 10 botanists, one per zone, and they will work as long as you supply them what they need. So he's doing nothing right now, and that's because he has nothing to work with. So if we go in here and we look at our workers, he's idle, but that's because the stash is empty. Everything operates out of this stash. If I load this stash up with plant pots, soil, seeds, water, and fertilizer, he's going to instantly get to work. You see, he's still idle, but once he recognizes that there is supplies available, he will begin working. And there we go. He's now working, And we can verify this visually by going over here. There he is. He put a plant pot down and he's putting soil in there. And one thing to note, these are real plants, just like any plant you would plant yourself. You can interact with them. They got the DUI overlays, all that. They're completely normal plants. And he will continue working up either until he runs out of supplies or he runs out of money. And we can just load this lab with as many workers as you wish, or as many workers as you can afford. Again, there's a limited number of botanists, that's 10, and a limited number of packagers. Packagers are guys who will take the completed buds. So the botanist will grow plants all the way until harvested, put the finished buds in the stash, then the packagers will take those finished buds and papers or baggies and process them and put them back in the stash. I mean, look at this. How could this not be a favorite feature? This is full Weed Lab automation. And one thing I think that can be slept on is how powerful of a money sink this can be for servers. You can adjust every aspect of this cycle. Like I said, the cost to hire, the wage per cycle, the duration of the cycle, so on and so forth. So if we look now at our plants tab, you will see a bunch of plants now showing up, and you can see them live updating as they water and fertilize these plants. They will maintain these plants and grow them to completion. And if we look at our stash, we'll now see our supplies dropping as they get used. And again, these guys will work until they either run out of money or supplies. This is a quick overview of the finances. You can see the individual worker pay here, how long until each one is paid, but you can see how much you're running per cycle and how many cycles your balance can cover. So this is really cool. There's a lot more to get into about this feature once we visit the config, but I really just wanted to show you that. And now we'll see we're at 40 plants and growing. Our settings, you can sell the lab back here. Of course, you can customize the refund price and all that. So that's my favorite feature. I do want to show you more, but we got to dig into the config for that. So let's do that now. In Weed v4, our config has moved entirely in-game. No more config files, no more code, just fully live in-game editing, accessible via the command weed admin. And on the first page you're introduced with is a snapshot, an overview of your server and the weed inside of it. These are your total plants, plants ready to harvest, plants need attention, and a 7-day chart of plants harvested in your server. I'm not going to go over everything in this config because it's massive, but it's neatly organized into easy to find pages, and even better yet, it's got a search bar. You can either click this or do the command Control K, and you can find config options simply by typing. Let's look for death timer. Hit enter. It'll take us right to that option. One thing you're going to find throughout this config is if you're uncertain what an option is, look at the little help icon. If the short little description isn't clear enough, you can read this, and we've described everything to help guide you. But back to our dashboard page as we described, but there's a second administrative page, and that's a plant overview page where you can teleport to plants, edit a plant's live data, and of course delete a plant. After that is our various config pages, starting with the setup page, which has got your notifications, interaction, context menus, so on and so forth. I'll show you a quick example. You'll notice if I change options in the top right here, this is the autosave feature. So I'm going to mess with this DUI overlay. The DUI overlay is this little overlay that shows up when you're near a plant. If you don't want that, that's fine. We don't need it. We can go to setup, turn DUI overlay off. You'll see the autosave, and then it's gone. It's an incredible config. We have options for everything you can imagine. There's a new automated cleanup feature, which is it'll clean up plants after a certain number of real life days it hasn't been touched. I'm going to turn that DUI overlay back on because I love it. And you got options and options and options. Here's all your growth settings. Some of these you will see little warning icons that will provide you some additional information, either a warning about a setting or tell you if a restart's required, so on and so forth. We got our planting options, max plants, our placement mode, either grid or freeform, soil checking, blacklist. We got all our strains. Here's where a lot of the magic happens. You can in Weed v4, our growth time has changed to just pure minutes. Anybody familiar with the old v3 knows adjusting the time it takes to grow a plant was a bit difficult. It is now this simple. Time from 0 to 100% growth, X amount of minutes. And of course, you can change that per strain. So if we look at Cosmic Kush, this thing's taking like 4 hours. I think we briefly mentioned it before, but there's a rain bonus. Water added per growth tick when it's raining and the plant's outside. Of course, you can add, remove as many stages as you want per strain. Add your own strains, remove these strains. Customize the yield. The yield is tied to the plant's health. Perfect bonus. Again, there's so much in here, I can't go over everything or else this video would be hours long. Here's your fertilizers. Real quick, you'll notice these little drag handles. This determines the order at which these options are displayed in the menu. So when you're in your seed selection menu, it's going to display in this order, or however order you drag and drop it into. Little details like that I enjoy. Here's your soils. You can add and remove your soils. Here's the dealer settings. If you don't want that seed dealer, you can turn them off. He's got optional blips. You can set a list of jobs where he's not, visible on the map. Jobs that do not see the seed dealer blip. Here's his seed inventory. You got the strains, level, stock, and then the per level stock. So you can scale stock at the player's level. All the various locations he can spawn. We have our included smoke on the water shop. Naturally, I'm going to recommend you use Shops Creator because it's got, it's purpose built for shops. But this shop is also sufficient. You got the blips, account type, ped model, hours, and the inventory, label, icon, image, price, level, stock. The list goes on and on. You can actually also add multiple shop locations if you wish. Here's your seed farms. I will show you real quick just how easy it is to build a seed farm while we're doing this. It's just a good example of how fast, or how live rather, this config is. So let me change the time here. Let's go to the farms. We're going to create a new farm, call it test. We're going to spawn props. We're going to use prop weed 01. Center the zone right where we're standing. We're going to add a plant right where we're standing. And if I close this out, there we go. And let's say I want another one right here. We'll go back to our test farm, add a plant right where I'm standing, and here we go. We now have, this is how easy it is to work in this resource. We got all our many lab settings, max labs per player, automated cleanup as well, sell refund, shop view, how many slots and weight a stash starts with. Here's your storage upgrade tiers you can customize. You can completely disable the whole worker system if you wish. Customize pay cycle, when they water, when they fertilize. The animation speed you can change. So, if you don't want workers to be able to water and fertilize as fast as a player would do, by default, the animations take twice as long. It's a good balancing feature. Here's all your pay. Again, I can't go on. Here's your raids. You can customize the raids per player and per police, so you can require a different item, consume the item on fail, never, or on success, customize the skill checks, and creating labs. If you want more labs for sale, here's another example. What if I want this container to be a lab? No problem. We'll just go down here, add lab. Again, I'm going to call it test. I'm going to put it right here, $100, and boom, this is now a purchasable lab. I don't want to spend too long on this config because it's just incredibly powerful. There's many options. Here's all your joints and all the options you can customize their benefits, customize your levels and XP, and of course logging. You can choose what logs you want, don't want, so on and so forth. The lists just go on and on. One last thing I do want to cover is, so we covered the autosave and the ability to search the config, but for those who have dev servers and live servers, this is going to be something you're going to really like, or even just sharing configs between friends. This is an export and an import option. If I export, this is the entire config, everything, just as I have it. I can copy this. I can take that config to my live server after I've set it up on dev and apply import, and it's that easy. I can transfer everything from dev to live in 3 seconds or less. That's our config, and I hope you like this. I can't even begin to describe the amount of time that went into this resource. Of course, everything you would expect. Automatic framework and inventory detection, supports ESX, QBCore, Qbox, all the major inventories. Only has a couple dependencies that are already in your server: oxmysql, oxlib, and bob74 IPL. Installs really simple. It's drag and drop and you're off to the races. This script handles everything for you. This is the next generation of scripts you can expect from us, and we're really excited for you to try it now. Go to lationscripts.com, buy this script if you don't have it already. For those who do have weed growing, this is a completely free upgrade. You just go to your CFX portal and download weed growing like usual, and this was completely free for you. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know of any questions you have. I'm on Discord, either in a comment. Let me know. I'm here. Let me know what you think.